2022 meeting of the Christiansburg Town Council to order. And as we normally do, we will take a moment of reflection, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you join me in a moment of reflection. Thank you. Would you please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I'm going to ask Tim Wilson if he would.
Your Honor, Mayor. Join me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I have an adjustment to the agenda. Under consent agenda, items B and C, we need to set the hearing date for those for April the 12th. We left those dates off. So we're not going to pass those tonight, but we'll pass the public hearings. Anyone else?
I would second the changes.
Thank you.
She'll be first, I'll be second.
You got it.
Yep.
Ms. Showalter. I'm gonna get you. I'll get it right one of these days. Ms. Hanline, please.
Councilman Bishop. Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hoppert.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That's 6-0. Thank you very much. Under public hearings, we have a resolution for the disposition of town-owned lot at the intersection of West Street and Johnson Street, tax parcel 497-12, section 3, 16A, parcel ID 070451. Mr. Wingfield, you gonna bring that up and show us what we're doing?
Parcel is formerly Church of Christ property. It, like I say, as located corner of West Street and Johnston Street. It's a vacant lot. The town had demolished the church, which had been abandoned, and basically we claimed it through a quick claim deed. And we don't really have any particular town use for the property. It's fairly narrow. As you can see by the deed description, it's 35 feet wide by 37 feet wide. I guess in the width, and depth on it 70 feet, 72 feet. So pretty small lot, and we just don't really have a particular use for it. It's really too small for recreational use or stormwater pond, anything like that. So we just assumed to dispose of it, get it back in on the tax rolls.
Were we going to hold some of the?
We do have a provision that we can retain the width to make it a 50-foot right-of-way for West Street and Johnston Street. We would do that in the deed. Also, we have a provision that we can restrict construction of a single-family house or development of the property for residential use unless it's joined with a legally compliant lot.
Okay. Anyone here to address this resolution? Yes, sir. If you give your name, address, and social security number. No. Driver's license.
I'm Joseph Supp. I'm the adjoining lot. When I first bought this property, I'll tell you that I built the fence all the way back on both sides. I cleaned it up, what was there, and maintained it for the last 3 years. And then Mr. Randy called me and told me, he says, you know, you got a fence on our property. But I realized that after I built the fence, so I just left it and said, see, maybe one point it'll come up and maybe I could do something with it. So thank you.
Thank you. So you interested in bidding in on it?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Anyone else to address this? Hearing none, I will close the public hearings. We'll go to the consent agenda, which consists of the approval of the minutes of January 25th, the 2 conditional use permits, resolution adopting revised procedure for awarding multiple contracts to multiple offerers under term services contracts and providing for an effective date. Authorize the town manager to activate 1-year extension of the curbside recycling contract with GFL Environments Incorporated.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
I will second that.
Get a motion and a second. Any discussions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Bishop,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks,
Aye.
Councilwoman Hopkins,
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins,
Aye.
Councilman Showalter,
Aye.
Councilman Wilson,
Aye.
6A, thank you. Under introductions and presentations, I want to introduce Paula Austin. Austin, here, Paula. Paula is a member of the Art Advisory Board, the Art Advisory Board, and she was not here when we were appointing the committees. And another member, Charlie Whitescarver, was supposed to come today, but his father is ill, and so he's with him. So, Paula, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming here today.
Terry Caldwell, Director of Aquatics, to provide Christiansburg Aquatic Center updates.
Good evening, Mayor and Town Council, and welcome new members to our Town Council. I look forward to working with each of you this year, and I'm excited to be here this evening to give you an update about our Aquatic Center. So why not kick it off with the love sign, right? It's February. What a great time of the year to remember our community. And, you know, the love signs are placed throughout the entire Commonwealth in several locations, and visitors come all over to take their picture in front of the love sign. So this is an older picture of the love sign. We've upgraded a little bit, but you know, remember that when you drive by. How many people, you know, we fail to remember how many people come to our town and just stop by a love sign to take a picture. So I wanted to kick it off with that and move into the next slide, Andrew, and thank Town Council for the light project that we just completed in December. Wow, that has been an amazing asset to the Christiansburg Aquatic Center. So if you remember, the reason that I had asked for the light project to begin with was really, Christina tells me I can walk, so I'm going to walk, was because of the weight on the lights on the cables, right? So you remember looking at this video, which was shot by Malcolm Lang from Elvis and Lang. It's kind of neat. 40 pounds of weight was left from each light when we did this project. So what was happening is all that weight was snapping cables, breaking cables at the Aquatic Center. We were able to not only install the LED lights, but then what? Take all that weight off. 40 pounds for each light. So again, we have an awesome, bright-looking Aquatic Center right now with all the lighting, but the most important was the safety issue, so I appreciate Town Council's support in that regard. This is really great with him inside of there shooting this video. I really wanted you to see it. Gives it just a different angle. Elvis Lang here in town, our local contractor, won the bid for this contract, and I have to tell you, it ran seamlessly, and just what an excellent company they were inside of the Aquatic Center to work with.
Harry, what was the name of the company again?
Elvis Lang,
Here in Christiansburg?
correct.
Used to be Elvis Electric, and Rich sold out.
Oh,
So I was really pleased to be able to keep that right here in our town. So thank you, Andrew. That's an interesting slide that when you watch it a little bit, it could kind of turn your stomach. So this is the flow chart for the Christiansburg Aquatic Center. And as you can see, we are currently running with 6 full-time supervisors. We have a maintenance division on your left. We have a competitive event supervisor, a program supervisor, customer service, facility operations, and a lifeguard supervisor. Those are full-time positions. We have a total of 13 full-time positions at the Aquatic Center. And if you will note, under each, there's only one other full-time besides maintenance. It's our head lifeguard that we put in here. If you remember, we were calling it a full-time lifeguard. We've given that position a little bit more oomph to try to attract someone in that position, and this week that worked. So I'm happy to announce that this week we promoted someone from within to the head lifeguard. I also interviewed, and the team interviewed our new facility operations supervisor, which I'll be pleased to announce to you from out of the area next time that we're in, that you'll meet her. So we have a pretty, full team there moving forward with the part-time staff. Maintenance supervisors over there run all the custodial division too. So I'm real pleased with what this looks like. Moving forward in 2020, this group up here of leaders, these supervisors are who runs the aquatic center, right? Without them, that facility wouldn't be running, and they put in a lot of effort and time to make sure that the community is served well at the capacity that we can with the part-time staff. They work as a team with just myself over the top. I'm really excited to see the progress that's changing at the aquatic center. So next slide, Andrew, just to give you an idea of our part-time employees. The blue number is how many that I budget every year, and then the orange number is how many that we currently have staffed. So wow, look at the difference right here with lifeguards. Typically, I budget 55 lifeguards. We're operating with 12. So, this is why I'm so proud of the team, because they're able to step up to the plate. And sure, it might not leave a lot of opportunity for new projects and new ideas coming out of the aquatic center, but it's working okay. Pretty much everything else we're doing well. Swim instructors, we have 12 swim instructors, so that's a kind of neat, it's just a transition a little bit here with lifeguarding. The next slide shows us just what we've heard for the last year, right? The daily news all over the nation. What do we have going on? We have a lifeguard shortage. This isn't anything new. It just didn't happen since the pandemic. We've had lifeguard shortages for years, right? I can remember working the outdoor pool, and we would have to close down in the middle of August because we didn't have any lifeguards to work from August till the middle of September. So, it's not a new thing. What happened, though, when the pandemic hit is all the training stopped, right? We weren't able to recruit lifeguards. There wasn't any training. Everything stopped. So now we're trying to play catch up. To play catch up, and how can we operate differently? And we have done a few different things at the aquatic center. The next slide, Andrew. We now have all of the swim teams under an amendment in their contract where they provide their own water surveillance for swim team practice. So what that meant is that reduced lifeguard hours to about 3,400 hours per year with a savings of $43,000. What this means is we still lifeguard the swim meets, and if you drove by tonight, you can see we're in a big VHSL championship meets this weekend. Tonight, tomorrow night, and Thursday night. Tonight's Christiansburg, tomorrow night is Blacksburg, and Thursday night is Radford. So the parking lot's full, everything's packed. We are guarding those swim meets tonight with limited staff. But what a great cost savings this was. All of the swim teams coaches have been through a training at the aquatic center with our lifeguard supervisors. They know where all the AEDs are, where all the backboards are, and how to run and find equipment. We also have one town employee available on site during these swim team practices. So that was just a really great cost saving. Lifeguard classes are being offered at no cost for participants in the community. We have the Lifeguard University, which is several months of training, and probably this was the first time that we tried this. Might have been just a little bit too long, but we were able to take a couple employees in-house and work them through this. So we did a little bit of cross-training. They are now able to lifeguard the shallow water as they are, just like we have an office manager who's also a lifeguard, and she can go down and lifeguard the pools as needed. Full-time staff are on the lifeguard stand daily. That's nothing new. That's what you're going to see going on now while we go through the shortage. Lifeguards can choose to guard the shallow water only at $12 an hour, or they can increase their training, which that means the competitive pool. Remember the competitive pool? 7 foot on one end, 17 on the other. You cannot stand in that pool. To be able to train and to be certified to save people's lives on that side, it's a whole different story. Kind of scary too, in a way, you know? So it gives people the opportunity to say, hey, I'm ready for this. You know, I'm ready for this. Or you come on board as a shallow water lifeguard, we're going to train you to be the lifeguard in the competitive pool. In the town of Christiansburg, we agreed to have the minimum age for lifeguarding move from 16 to 15. And my request in that regard was due to the fact that American Red Cross allows you to be a certified lifeguard at the age of 15. So I felt that that was a movement that we needed to kind of take on. The next little video is something I want to share with you. I don't have cost projections for you yet. I am just currently looking at this under review. What this would do is enhance our aquatic safety operations and our lifeguard safety operations. We would still need to provide, you know, a couple lifeguards on the pool deck. We would still need to provide one by our big slide. We have a lot of kids that get up those steps somehow and they come down that slide and they don't know how to swim. So I am not advocating in whatsoever means that we take away the lifeguards, but what this could do is potentially assist them and reduce the number that we have on the pool deck at any given time. So Andrew and I are going to see if this is going to work for us, so you can watch this.
The Angel Eye Lifeguard System was designed as a key tool to assist lifeguards in monitoring every swimmer in pools and water parks. We understand that lifeguards can't save what they can't see, and monitoring swimmers underwater, even in the best conditions, can be a challenge. Submersion incidents can happen for many reasons. They are silent and rarely accompanied by waving or signaling for help to a lifeguard. Changing water conditions can also make it difficult for lifeguards to identify a person who needs help underwater. Angel Eye monitors every object in the pool through highly sensitive cameras. These cameras monitor and record the movements of swimmers, while an advanced software algorithm scans the entire pool for swimmers who could be in distress. A person who submerges underwater can become a drowning victim in as few as 20 seconds, which is why Angel Eye technology is configured to analyze and identify potential threats in 10 to 12 seconds. This early warning allows lifeguards to respond quickly in the event of an emergency. If a threat is detected, an alarm is immediately sent to lifeguards equipped with waterproof smartwatch technology. A vibration alert assists lifeguards in noisy environments and eliminates the need for sirens or strobe lights, which can cause panic and slow the reaction times of first responders. Lifeguards are able to see the exact position and location of the victim directly from the smartwatch, all in real time. With a more accurate position provided by Angel Eye technology, lifeguards are able to respond more quickly to the exact zone in the pool where the victim is located. In these critical moments, every second counts. Before, during, and after a rescue, Angel Eye records every step of the emergency response and securely stores the video and data of the event. The system can be configured to notify additional first responders or notify local EMS professionals if additional resources are needed. This crucial information and data can be used to document incidents, train staff, and improve safety operations and risk management protocol. Angel Eye Technology's lifeguard system puts the power of technology into the service of aquatic safety. Angel Eye never blinks when it comes to safety.
Thank you, Andrew. That worked out great. I really just wanted you to see that there's other things out there. You know, do we look at a change from 55 lifeguards to something else that could assist? So let me work on that. Let me see what figures we come up with. Let me do a little bit more investigating into it, but I wanted you to know that, you know, we as a team at the Aquatic Center are trying to find other ideas. You know, how can we move forward? So let's flip the conversation into memberships. Okay, so on the left, June of 2020 is when we reopened due to the pandemic, right? We closed in March. We reopened the facility in June of 20. As you can see, what happens obviously in the summer months, June is the most popular month for everybody to go swimming in our area. The residents are in the blue and the guests are in the orange, and these are memberships sold. This is not the renewing memberships. Those are not up here. These are brand new memberships each month that we keep track of. So as you can see, I feel like, in my opinion, that this is starting to, you know, it's starting to bounce back up again. I see some light at the end of the tunnel coming, so that looks really good. The next slide will show your daily passes sold. These are people that come through the door for a $5 admission, okay? So there again, as you can see, when we kicked it off in June of 20, some excitement, yay, the Aquatic Center's back open, and then it levels down when kids go back to school, right? There's always reasons for that. And in the summer, and then here again in the fall, it levels off when we send them back to school. And as you can see right here, I feel like January right now is doing pretty good. So again, a lot of this is dependent on the weather. When the weather's really cold outside and it's icy, there's not a whole lot of people at the Aquatic Center. So, you know, there's something about staying indoors. If you'll note again, the blue are the residents and the non-residents, our guests, are the orange. So in a daily admission, you can see that the non-residents are pretty popular. Yes?
Hey, Terry, can you go back to the slide? When you look at those numbers, are you looking per person membership? How do you look at a family that's buying a package?
That would be one.
That would be one.
Correct.
So if there is 6 or 4 or 5, that would just be like one.
So in the membership, so this would mean 142 memberships. It might be a family membership, that would be one.
Okay.
So in theory, this could be maybe, I don't know, 250, or it could be 150,
Okay.
right? So that would be a little bit more digging into the system to kind of see. Good question. Okay, let's move forward with swim lessons. Okay, so if you see the swim lessons offered, ages 6 months and up. In 2020, when the pandemic hit, we had offered 1,372 lessons. And you know why that number is so high? Because 872 of them were our second grade swimmers. Our second grade swim lesson classes with Montgomery County Public Schools. We have not been able to offer that program for the past 2 years. Not the Aquatic Center, but a choice of the school system, which we all can understand why. You know, the busing and putting the kids on a bus is an issue for them, so they're holding off. We'll be happy to welcome them back for second grade lessons whenever they're ready. In 21, we offered 626 swim lessons. What's extremely popular right now are the private swim lessons. Parents want private swim lessons. They're not interested in group lessons. They would like to know if our instructors are vaccinated. Lots of questions. So the one-on-one, our instructors are masks, either with the plastic mask or a mask while they're in the water. The child does not need to be. So we move forward with swim lessons in that
Can you go
regard.
back to on that swim lessons though, I'm sorry. Is that 626 people or is that 626?
People.
Okay,
People. Yep.
sorry.
Yep. So as you can see, if we added another 800 onto that, we'd be over that if we would have had the second grade lesson. The next slide is our water aerobics. Well, we have an excellent water aerobics instructor. Her name is Jillian, or I should say she's our program supervisor. And she drops into these positions and teaches these classes. And you can see her on the pool deck there. It's absolutely amazing. A day shot and a night shot, 2 different classes. She has 20 different water aerobics classes with various different names, and she's known in this community to kick your butt in an exercise class. So it's really kind of neat to see this program really come ahead. We also have quite a few other instructors. So it's really a great program. As you can see the participation there with her activities. Special workouts. Who would have ever thought we'd be holding a class where you put on a mermaid fin and you swim across the water, right? Because what's so interesting about this is that's hardcore right there.
Yeah.
You better have a really tight core, because remember, your legs have to be together and you have to make it through the water. And I don't know about you all, but I'm probably not going to make it across. So that's our Madness class. And then, of course, she does a jack-o'-lantern workout, which is extremely popular, and that's kind of hardcore too, in the water and on the pool deck. And everyone seems to really appreciate those things. We have not been able to hold our special event New Year's Eve splash for the last 2 years due to the social distancing. Hopefully this year we'll be able to bring that back. Be excited for that. That's always a popular event. But we were able to hold a pumpkin splash for our youth, our first special event for the youth this fall, and that was with 70 participants. We were able to social distance. If you'll notice, the mermaid in that picture does have one of the plastic masks on. The kids were able to go out onto the pool deck and complete their crafts with their pumpkin. So that worked out great. All right, let's switch a little bit quick to the competitive pool and the swim teams. Our pool is home to many local swim teams, 17 of them listed up there. And if you'll notice, we have Giles High School, Narrows High School, Radford High School, Salem High School comes for diving, Blacksburg High School comes for diving. This is huge. These people, you know, they send their high school students or middle school students on a bus from Giles and Narrows to come to the Christiansburg Aquatic Center for swim team practice. That's pretty amazing for the town of Christiansburg, I feel. So, just a great team effort there. The competitive pool is typically open 5:30 a.m. until 9 p.m. So even though we do not have the lifeguards to operate on the leisure pool side, we are able to still keep these teams. Remember, we made this transition, and that competitive pool stays packed at night. Feel free to come by anytime and take a look at that. It's just absolutely amazing to see what's happening in your community. We are 12 years this summer that the Aquatic Center's been open. So what's growing in your community is just amazing with these young athletes. So let's talk about the swim meets. In 1819, you can see 34 swim meets, over 10,000 athletes from 13 states, nearly 20,000 spectators. We go into 19 and 20, just about done with 20 with the swim meet season, and what hits in March? The pandemic. March is one of the biggest years that we have, or one of the biggest months that we have for swim meets. If you recall, for those of you that were here, we had just brought the swim meet into town and the pandemic hit and we had to send them all home. That was on a Wednesday and it all occurred on a Wednesday. That was one of our most lucrative swim meets that we sent home when that pandemic hit. And we had one more to come. So we were still able to see an economic impact of $5.3 million, even though we were missing 2 of those huge meets there in that 1920. In the 2021, we were still able to hold quite a few meets, but look what happened with the spectators, 680. That's the impact of the pandemic on the Aquatic Center. Because, obviously, social distancing, masking, we were not able to hold the spectators. Kept the athletes, still had the swim meets, still seen an economic impact of $1.6 million. And if you'll look from 14 to 21, we estimate $24.8 million economic impact your Aquatic Center has brought to the town of Christiansburg and the community. What's important here for us to remember is this is sports marketing, okay? This is exactly why the park is coming on play. This is exactly why the competitive pool was built for the aquatic center, right? But we could have just built a leisure pool, but the idea was, how can we support the meals and lodging taxes by these guests coming to our town, support that, and still have a swimming pool for your citizens? So this is what happened, and you know, some people maybe don't want to really pay attention to economic impact, but I advise you to pay attention, because that's amazing right there. This is what other pools, this is what other cities, localities are looking for. If it's Roanoke or North, you know, throughout the years, I guess I've probably given, I don't know, at least 20 tours to localities from throughout the whole East Coast that would like a pool like you have. So, you know, these are the numbers and the figures. And if you ever would like to hear me speak on economic impact, I'm an advocate for that, so just let me know. Okay, what do we have up next? Summer camp.
Hey,
Summer,
Terry,
yes.
so you said March is one of your best months. Is it looking good this year?
Mm-hmm, yeah,
Okay.
looking good. February's looking good. We're kicked off the swim meet season. We're bringing them in.
Are you able to bring the spectators
are
in?
back in. Spectators are back in. It is up to the organization to determine if they would like to be masked or not. So,
Okay.
like the high schools over there tonight, they require masking. So everyone in the bleachers right now, and it's packed over there.
Who's requiring those mask mandates? It's not the town, right? Obviously, we're not doing that, but is that like the school board?
So
that
each
is doing
team that rents the facility, remember, we rent the facility. So the teams come to us, it's up to them and their organization. So right now, Montgomery County Public Schools is having their regional events, their championship. Yes, they are required to mask. We'll have Colonial Athletic Association in. I'm not sure what they do. We don't oversee that whatsoever. That's up to the people who run that swim meet to come in and determine how they're going to run the meet.
Thank
And
you.
we don't have no mandate as far as how many people
No,
can
ma'am.
be at the aquatic center.
No. Okay, so summer camp, briefly, just we hope to have 35 this summer. We were down to about 15 during the pandemic, so we hope to bring that back up. And the neat part of this is we have a wonderful buy-in by the directors here in the town, and our mayor comes and speaks, and the kids get a real great idea of what it's like to not only live in the town of Christiansburg, but to find out what other departments do here in the town. And don't forget that this aquatic center staff is over the skate park, so that's also something that's very interesting to me, and working right now with Dean Crane at Blacksburg Parks and Recreation. He's the director there, and Greenhouse to all the skateboard competition this spring, and it's called Battle of the Bergs. And Dean will hold his competition over at the skate park in Blacksburg, and we'll hold one here at the Christiansburg skate park. So still that's under working, and Greenhouse, if you know, is a business in Blacksburg that caters to the boarders. And so look forward to that. Councilwoman Hicks has asked for a fencing to go up along the creek side. Hopefully I will have that installed this spring for the safety of the boarders and also to keep the skateboards from going over. We're looking at a 4-foot fence along there. I was waiting for some paving to get done. That was completed, I believe, in November. Still a little bit with the trail that we have to do, but I think I have the clearing to be able to put up the
That's
fencing.
awesome. Thank you.
So that's exciting. And then there'll be some new signage and stuff going up. I'm working with Andrew on that to try to make sure that we sign, you know, you're going onto the skate park right now, or take a right and you're going up to the trail. That trail it opened everything up down there, and that skate park is amazing right now. You know, if you go by there on a busy day, it's packed down there, and it wasn't like that before. We have opened up, that's recreation, open it up and invite your community. And that's exactly what we did down there at that skate park. So, real nice. The next slide is just giving you an idea of, we try to partner as much as we can with businesses in the community. I try to get out and about. A little bit difficult now, obviously, during the previous pandemic, but this is a New River leadership group that was part of the Chamber of Commerce. They came over and had a choice on exercising, and these are the glide fit boards that are in the leisure pool, and that's another good workout. So it's really neat. So before I conclude, I want to just mention that I have a request in the budget this year, and I want to talk to you a little bit about it. It is for the HVAC units. I've requested $1.2 million to replace 4 PAC units. 3 of those feed into the competitive pool, and 1 feeds into the leisure pool. The PAC units are 12 years old, obviously, and their lifespan's about 8 years. And boy, are we noticing it. You know, our maintenance supervisor is trained and well-equipped as he worked for Train before coming to the Aquatic Center, knows how this equipment works and tries to replace and get it moving. But now the public is noticing, and athletes are noticing when they come to the Aquatic Center. What happens in a pool is when you have a large group of people just jump in the water, as we do for these swim meet warm-ups, there can be 400 people jump in at one time for warm-ups. And what happens is chloramines produce, and they lay on the top of the water. And if you don't have a really good HVAC system to pull those chloramines out, fresh air, what happens? It lingers. And then you have eye irritation and you have respiratory problems. So I just want to make you aware that we have already heard of these things coming from other people throughout the state. And remember, this is kind of like our bread and butter when we're talking about the swim meets. So I just wanted to, give you an idea. And something that the maintenance supervisor told me, Mark Altizer is his name, he said, Terry, remember that this equipment has run 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 365 days, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day for 12 years. It's time we take a look at the HVAC equipment. So I conclude with that, just to add that, that would allow the dehumidification system to come in place. At the Aquatic Center, we don't have that now. That HVAC equipment is not designed for an aquatic center. So I think that we've done a pretty good job for 12 years of trying to make that work. So thank you so much. And do you have any questions?
So Terry, the HVAC, we've been talking about that for a couple of years now, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now what about the deck and the lining?
The deck and the lining, I'm putting that on hold. This
Okay.
HVAC is really important. I've asked for 2 things in capital. One is the HVAC, and the other is replacing the sprinklers that are in the ceiling. That was about $17,000. If we have to hold off on those, I believe we can, if the $17,000. But the HVAC, my recommendation is I may be sending an email one day and saying it's gone altogether.
Sure.
So, I'm just trying to stay ahead of the game. I think we're already way past the head of the game. So, nothing else is in the competitive pool or the capital request for this year.
I guess I'm so grateful that you're going to be able to have that fence down by the skate park.
You're welcome. That'll be easy for us to put in.
Talking about safety and things like that, I really like the idea of the new monitors that you'll put in the water. I think that will really help a lot. I know another thing that really has when I have been at the aquatic center, another thing that maybe will help some of the lifeguards that are looking at the pool that has the slide on it, will be possibly have some gates or maybe some kind of fencing around close to the slides, because I know that a lot of kids love hanging around there, and I think the lifeguards are always, very good at their jobs, and they're always trying to pay attention to the kids behind the the tube and everything else, and I think it would really help if we can have something, even if it's temporarily, that you can take down and stuff. Maybe that's
sure.
something we can look into. Another one of the questions that I had is, and I guess this is more so for Randy, is there a possibility that since we're gonna have a very large item in here, over $1 million in expenditures for the heating system for the aquatic center, is that a way that we can even have this as a discussion when we have the meeting with the county supervisors for Montgomery County?
Whatever agenda items council and the board of supervisors would agree to. But, I guess that'd be a possibility. I don't know whether the county would be agreeable to fund that or not. Like I said, I think it's. Actually, I did speak to Craig today a little bit. We did mention the possibility of having a joint work session, and we did mention kind of the need of coming up with a joint agenda between our two governing bodies.
Okay. And then I guess the other question is, I know it came out to my attention the other day. I know that we do not, just to make sure, correct me if I'm wrong, we do not charge Montgomery County Public Schools for the swimmings, correct? To use the space?
The only no charge is Christiansburg High School.
Christiansburg High School.
Yes, the rest of everyone, all the other schools pay.
And then it sounded like you had mentioned something that they were charging parents to come for some of the swim meets. Is that correct?
I'm not sure if they're charging, yes, for the meet I just left that meet, they were there charging. Yep, so I think that's typical for Montgomery County Athletics to charge for these regional meets. I'm not familiar with how the school system works, so I really can't.
Well, I think it would be really nice for us to think about this, because if we're providing a service that is free to the community, just because we want to do something nice, I think that we should get the same treatment back, And I think that it's not fair to us to be charging parents to come and view a game or an event that we're actually providing for free to them.
The high schools, if you go to a football game, you pay an admission fee.
Yeah, we're not
You go to a
charging.
basketball game, the school charges you.
Yeah, I know, but that's within their facilities.
Yeah, but
But this is within our facility that we're charging money to.
Well, we're not.
we're
They
not, the
are.
school is.
We
We're not.
aren't charging, the school system is.
I know, but we're not charging them to have their meets at
We're
our
not-
aquatic center.
It's our
We're not
school.
charging Christiansburg. We are
Yeah.
charging Blacksburg and
Yeah,
all the
now
other
when it's a
schools.
regional meet, there is a fee associated with that and a contract, because what happens is it's typically more than just Christiansburg coming in. So I can find out the exact detail of that
That would be awesome.
from Nate for you.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much. Well, I think you did a great presentation. If I gotta say something about, I understand that the lifeguards are our biggest issue too. And I am so grateful that you came today to speak and, bring the blessing from the advisory committee as well, for the aquatic center. And I think that speaks very highly of you, because you're looking out for your employees too. And I personally feel, that we do need to make a change on this, and those are conversations that definitely need to be taking place. On another note, when I went to Richmond to the Virginia Municipal League within the last week, some of the comments that I was hearing from some of the members there was that they're not doing a raise to the current people as what they're doing. They're not doing a percentage raise. What they're doing is they're doing a dollar figure. So if we start at $12 and
Ms. Hicks, that's a discussion for the finance committee in the town and the budget to talk about salaries, and I do know that will be addressed.
But I'm just grateful that she brought that up to the
Well, I
table
understand.
today. And so I was just saying that there was stuff mentioned about even lifeguards in some of the meetings that I was at. And I think that, like you're saying, it's not just a Christiansburg problem. It's across the board.
correct.
Terry, I have a question.
Yes.
If the HVAC systems don't get replaced and they were to break, how does that affect the water? And then what would you have to do to correct that issue?
It depends on the time of the year. So you have to remember if we have air conditioning, we need air conditioning, right? So all of that fluctuates for air conditioning and heat. So if the HVAC unit isn't working, we're not going to be able to probably operate whatsoever. You know, that's really important. We can get by with a little bit. If you've ever noticed, if you ever drive by the aquatic center and you look at the windows and you see they're fogged up, something's wrong.
Yep.
Okay.
If we don't have an HVAC system working properly or something's clicked a button off or whatever, that's what happened. Humidity, right? And what happens with humidity in your home? What starts growing? Yep. Same thing at the aquatic center. We've got to get that air out. So I can't say for sure unless I talk to Mark, how long could we go? Could we go 4 days, 5 days, depending on the weather? I'm not, I really couldn't answer that for certain, but it wouldn't be good.
But it sounds like a costly, not just replacing the system, but then cleaning up the mess that's.
Yeah, and the
that's
whole,
left with it
even
for-
when the features are on in the leisure pool, you've all been there. If the features are on in the leisure pool and that pool is packed, those chloramines are going everywhere. It's just like, a system that it just doesn't know where to go with its chemistry. All of that is chemistry in the water. And that chemistry has to be absolutely perfect at all times. And we use the HVAC to help us with that, right? And the UV systems, right? So we have UV systems in each of the pools. So that's killing anything besides a chlorine, that the chlorine isn't killing, the UVs are hitting it. So, we have all these pieces that are working together, and when one isn't, it's really hard to maintain, and that's when the public notices, right? That's when the public notices. So that's why we have a full-time maintenance staff at an aquatic center. Who would have ever thought that you would really need that, right? Oh, we'll just have somebody come by and check the water, and then that doesn't work. We've been there. We
Is
need
a
to.
heat pump a two-system unit?
What was the question?
Is a heat pump, does it use 2 units, one inside and one outside? Does it work?
Heat pumps. Well, it depends. Now, if you're talking the leisure pool side, that's on the leisure pool. There's all kinds of heat pumps down there kind of working the system. And then if you go back behind the aquatic center by the VT entrance, you see all those units. Those are the units that we need to replace. Those 4 back there and the one on the leisure pool. And this isn't an easy project. This is going to be a big crane coming in. This isn't just 1.2 million. This is a huge project. Cranes have to come in and lift those out and put them in. And if you remember, before the aquatic center, or even before the glass went in, the HVACs sat outside behind the aquatic center for probably a good year when we were trying to get them in and get ready. So, they've been weathered. They've been through their time, and of nobody's fault, obviously, at all. It's just, it's time that we do something, just like you would in your home.
Okay. Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome, sir.
Just to clarify, Joanna, you're not installing that Angel system, alert system.
I am
You're
not.
You're
No,
just looking into it.
I'm letting you know
Right.
that there's an opportunity out there should council ever decide. I will continue to investigate the costs and share that with Mr. Wingfield. And, maybe it's something we do and maybe it's not what we do. I don't know. But I wanted you to see that there's maybe some other opportunities. The idea of going back to 55 lifeguards, wow, that'd be a dream if that ever comes true again, So I don't see that happening, but you know what? Safety is the most important piece of what we do there. We have got to make sure that people are safe when they're in the aquatic center.
Terry, now that you have the meets going on, and I know the high school, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but isn't the middle school swim meets a different time years than the high school schools, correct?
Yep.
So is there a possibility that maybe we can start recruiting some of those high school students during the months that the middle schoolers are not able to, and then recruit the middle schoolers while the high schoolers are doing the swim meets?
We are constantly talking with the coaches, the H2OK coaches, and preaching, and we have a few of them. But you have to remember a lot of these kids that are swimmers are also athletes in other sports. You know, they may play soccer, they may play football, and they're on the swim team, and you know, they have things they need to do too. So they're maybe available 5 hours a week. So we try to get as many of those as we can on board.
Well, it'd be nice to see
Yep.
this year how many we can actually get from those meets now that they are happening again, so.
Yep, that'd be great.
Thank
Thank
you,
you all
Karen.
so much.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go into our citizens' comments. Do you have a issue, questions or comments about town operations? Now's the time to do it. You would come to the podium, your name and address, and limit yourself to 3 minutes. Thank you. Anyone here? Paul, you sick? You got the flu?
He wants to speak.
Okay, that's fine.
Hi, my name is Catherine Jellith. I'm a teacher in Montgomery County, and I live at 830 College Street. And my husband and I bought our house on College Street about a year ago. We're first-time homeowners. It's our first home. And we found out last week about the severity of the stormwater issues on College Street. So I just wanted to come and I wanted to ask about where the council is on that issue and if there's any kind of timeline that we can expect. And also just to clarify, my house is one of the 5 houses that is proposed as potentially being bought by the town as some of the potential solutions to the stormwater problem. So I just wanted to ask, where is the council on that issue? And is there any kind of a timeline that we could expect?
There's no time limit set on it at this point. It's not been discussed with the full council.
Mhm.
You were at a work session of the Water and Waste Committee.
Yes.
We've not had a council meeting since, but Randy, I think we have some time set aside for that.
We will be discussing it in the future, yes.
Yeah.
Although,
Okay.
right now, I kind of still consider it at the Water and Waste Committee level.
Right,
Uh,
okay.
Okay, well, I just wanted to ask that you all kind of prioritize that issue and really see it as important, because it's not just 5 houses, it's 5 families, and we're all kind of up in the air at this point, wondering what's going to happen. We don't know if the dangerous situation is going to be fixed. We don't know if we'll be able to sell our houses if we choose to do that. We don't know if the town ultimately maybe will decide to try to purchase the houses. So I would just ask that you please try to push forward on that and make a decision quickly in order to help the 5 families in those houses and the other people living on College Street.
Thank you.
We have a day that we were thinking about probably for February 16th, so keep an eye out for the calendar when it comes out.
February 16th.
What?
It's a budget work session, isn't it?
Are we having a work session?
We've been talking about it. No, that's March.
Early March. we're
Early
gonna have a-
March. Early
So
March.
February 16th is for
think
the
she's-
stormwater meeting.
Yes, I'll let you know I'm going to be out of town that day. I'll get with you and Tim, try to maybe come up with a date.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else to address council? If not, I will close the citizens' comments. Committee reports. Mr. Bishop, I believe you have a report.
Well, these reports are for information purposes only. We had a couple, the engineer had some people come to them and ask for assistance. One location's be Lester Place townhouses. The current situation now, people are coming and going in both directions. So they have asked the town engineers to help them with this solution. Town engineers have looked at it and tried to decide that they're gonna make it flow one way. You know, because right now, if you go up and look at that location, it is a narrow street coming from the townhomes onto Lester Street. And I recently learned that the roadway is town maintained.
Around that parking lot.
Yes, I thought it was private property, it's town. So that's why the town is involved in this. So if anyone asked you, why is the town doing this for so-and-so, it's town property. So they're looking at this, making it.
Hence the street name, the name Lester Place, Lester Street.
But people still would think it belongs to the town homes, and it belongs to the town. The street
No, it's
does.
the case throughout the town, this is,
That's it.
okay.
So once again, this is the idea that the engineers came up with, is make them flow one way in and one way out. All right. And the second we have is on Clearview Drive. There's been some complaints about speeding and also concern about people not staying on their side of the road. So what the engineers have decided to do is to go to the top of the hill on Clearview. This picture, this doesn't show it very clearly. There is a big hill. Can you pull it up, Andrew? The actual map? Get a better idea what it looks like. We getting there. Okay. As you see on Clearview, there is a hill crest, so if coming up or going down, you could very easily be on the wrong side of the roadway. So what the engineers have decided to do is start at the top of the hill and go midway down and put a yellow, a solid, or I guess a double yellow line, not all the way on the street, but maybe a block or two to help keep people in their lane of travel. And that was the first picture that we had up. And once again, this is just for information purposes only. Thank you, Andrew. Town council does not need to take any action on this.
That will actually really help probably with people parking off the side of the street too.
I don't think you have that many people parking on the street, do you, on this side of Clearview?
Well,
But
you
wouldn't
saw a
want to be the
cart over
person
there,
park
I
at
think, a
near
little
the
bit
top of
ago.
that hill,
The
the
what?
way they come over that. I don't think I've ever seen a car up there,
I
but
don't,
it's been a while.
It looked like there was a car parked on the side.
okay. But anyway, this is the diagram that the engineer department came up with. It's just, once again, like they put a double yellow line from the top of the hill to about 2 blocks down to help keep people in their lane of travel. All right, that's all I have.
What does that mean for the people trying to go to their homes? They can, I guess they can still run over it?
You mean
It's two
pulling
lane,
to their
I mean,
driveway?
all it's gonna be is a middle divider.
Yeah, it's just a painted yellow line.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a crash about crossing the double yellow line to go home, they can break, they stop the double yellow line so people can make a right turn or left turn if that's the biggest concern.
Do you really think they would, well, I guess, never mind.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Okay.
You have anything?
Nothing else.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Very good. Any other committee reports?
I was just gonna say that we met for the stormwater waste committee meeting, I guess was last Wednesday. Couple of the homeowners showed up from College Street. We were talking about College Street being one of the main conversations. And I hope that for the future meetings that we get more of those neighbors to come to these meetings. So that was it.
Okay. We have engineering and engineering staff working with the people on College Street now. And so I would caution council that, you know, they are under contract with the, with engineering, that the town and the engineering department will handle any type of negotiations at this point till the committee reaches a decision and a recommendation that council approves. All right, any other committee reports? Hearing none, we'll close committee. Discussion of mayor and council resolution to budget amendment number 8, fiscal year 21-22. That is the 50, you wanna handle it, or is it in there somewhere?
Essentially the $50,000 for the
the
Montgomery
museum?
Museum of Art.
Okay. I think that was So we have a resolution to allow us to honor our commitment to the museum, $50,000 for purchase of the building. Do I have a motion?
Passed by motion, but because it actually modifies the budget.
So it's already been passed. This is just to separate it out with 50,000, right?
We have to have a budget amendment for it, so there has to be a resolution for the budget amendment and then the appropriation of funds. It was approved by a motion back in November, by the council, so we have to formally adopt it as a resolution.
Okay. So do I have a motion? Very good. So, I'd kind of like to hear what your reasoning for not wanting to do this is. I mean, we've already approved it by motion of council. This is to pull it out for another, and I think the main reason is, I believe, let council vote on it, and Mr. Jenkins, who is, obviously would have a chance to abstain from that vote.
Well, when we made the motion the first time, it wasn't a majority, I mean, I guess it was a majority, not everyone approved it,
Okay.
so.
So, but would it pass by majority of council?
Yes, that's what I was trying
I
to say.
think 4-2, was,
Something
or
something
5
like
to
that,
1.
whatever it was.
Sure.
When you did take the action, we can't really say that you did it as a budget amendment per se.
Right.
And you do have to have with budget amendments, basically a resolution for the appropriations.
Okay. And there's still no motions, just to get it up to see what we're gonna do? Very good. Since we did not recommend that budget, there's no need for a resolution. Discussion of Park Service road name. I don't want to jump on that one. I know we want to discuss the possible naming of it. I think we'd like to see some of the citizens involved. Randy, have you?
Town council had previously voted to name the connector route, which is basically what we were formerly calling the North Franklin Street Peppers Ferry connector route,
Okay.
which would go from the new signal there at the Food Line Plaza on North Franklin. It will basically follow existing right-of-way that we have across the corner of Providence and Cambria Street. It will take out the former Row Furniture building, which we own, and continue north to the new signal at Quinn Stewart Boulevard. And like I say, that's what we've previously called the connector route. Town council has previously voted to name that the Booker T. Washington Parkway, in part in recognition to the fact that that route passes through part of the former Christiansburg Institute property, and the fact that Booker T. Washington was associated with his contributions to CI. So basically the road that we are talking about naming now is more or less the service road into the park. So like I say, what is right now called Booker T. Washington is the connector route. What we're looking at naming is essentially the service road off of Booker T. Washington into the park itself. And it's council's purview to name streets within town, and of course this is town property. Just for our 911 and GIS purposes, though, we do desire to give it a separate name.
Like Recreation Drive, but anyway.
How soon do we need a name?
We would like it fairly soon, just because we want to include it on engineering drawings and any type of platting that we do for recordation in the courthouse. But I think we probably have a couple of months to come up with a name.
Are there suggestions?
I'm open to anything, really. And you can handle that a lot of ways, too. You know, you can come up with a list internally. You could refer it to the Parks and Rec Commission, as we've done with the naming of the park.
So what are we asking here? Just for us to say, yeah, we need to name it, the council,
Yes, and if you have a method of how you want to do it, or if you have any suggestions.
Sponsorships.
That doesn't have anything to do with this.
Not a public road.
Okay.
Randy, I would just turn it over to our PR department.
Street committee.
They can run it through there, and see if we can get any suggestions from the public.
Okay.
However, it's a good introduction because I think a couple weeks ago you were looking into the name of the park, not the sponsor name. It would be good to see if that's even if that would even work.
Okay.
Hey Randy, while you have that map up there really quick, have we changed the plans for the Dadras family's entrance, or is it still the same as the last time?
It's still the same as planned, yes.
Can you kind of show me exactly where the entrance is gonna be once again? Is it still over here by the?
It's actually paved.
Yes, it is. It's paved, the left-hand side of the tire store there, basically where the arrow is, Andrew's indicating it there with the arrow.
Okay. Because it's just like when I was looking at it the other day, it was kind of deceiving. It just kind of showed that it was still the old road, so.
I don't think it's the final paving, but it does have asphalt on it.
I think she's referring to the plat.
Yeah. So do we have to make a motion about anything with this? We already made the motion before to name the main road Booker T. Washington.
Yeah, this is just a service road going in off of Booker T. Washington. It would not.
Is the direction to look PR just poll public a little bit?
Yes.
So we don't have to make a motion or nothing on
No,
this right now?
no, this is just a discussion.
Okay.
If I can get a general consensus, I'm comfortable. I think I seem
I
to
say
have that.
leave it to PR and
I concur.
yes, bring us some suggestions from our residents.
Okay. I will move on to staff reports, town manager.
We mentioned College Street, and just to give you a little update, we have talked to all property owners within the drainage way, and all property owners have verbally agreed to consent to discuss drainage easements with us. But of course, that's not a commitment, that's just basically an agreement to discuss it with us all, which is at least good news that they're at least willing to consider it, so.
So that's just for easements, not ownership?
Just to discuss.
Yes, that's correct. That's not any type of
We have
commitment.
no commitments.
This is
That's not any
big-time
type
baby
of commitment
steps.
to sell or provide anything to us.
Right.
Okay, March 15th is when Finance Committee was hoping to have a budget work session with all of council.
When is
And
that?
that would be, basically our budget policy provides that Val and I provide the budget to you by the second meeting in March. And this would basically give us a chance to maybe run a few things by you before final budget preparation in that meeting. Would the 15th, and that's basically an off Tuesday, it'd be the third Tuesday of the month. Would that work for you all?
Yeah.
Did we come up for time on that, Randy?
Actually, I was gonna ask you that next, what, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock?
I think 6 will be
6 is
better.
good with
Can
me.
you guys do 6?
Yeah.
Can you do 6?
If we can go earlier, I'm on board. Usually I'm the late person, but
6.
because I think this is going to be a bear. This is going to go for more than 2 hours.
And what time what's the earliest you can do time?
It's up to you guys. If we want to go earlier, I'll accommodate you guys.
Can we just send some emails about dates and stuff like that? Maybe we really kind of know that's the 15th,
Yeah.
but maybe.
Yeah.
Well, the latest we can do it is the 15th. If we can do it, if Brandy and them can get it in earlier, I'll go earlier.
Is the 15th at 6 o'clock all right with council?
It's okay with me as of now, but
Tina?
I like the idea
Yes, sir.
of making it earlier
Yes.
too, if we can, but.
I'll go at 6. Looks like the
6?
majority wants
Casey,
6.
6? Okay. We'll go 6 o'clock.
Yeah, and the sooner that we can get all that information, the better.
Yeah, that's true, and that'll be just some direction from us. Now, Randy, correct me if I'm wrong, this is a work session?
Correct.
So there is no outside citizen comment? This
Well,
is just
that's at your discretion.
Huh?
That's basically your
It will
discretion.
be, we will meet, we will not have outside discussion. We'll have about 3 more public hearings on this budget anyway, so this is for us to learn what we need to learn about what we may or may not be approving. Okay?
I guess one of those questions about that one right now would be, we got an email tonight from Randy talking about even the wash bay. You were talking about a new facility for public works. I heard that several years ago. Do you have a sign in mind, and do you have a budget?
That's budget.
That
That'll be all presented, and we'll find all that out on the 15th.
There's really no point in talking about it until the 15th.
Well, I just trying
right.
to prepare for it, so.
Oh, we'll spend plenty of time on the 15th, trust
Yes, we
me.
will. Okay. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Nothing to
Rob?
report, Mayor, thank you.
Do what?
Nothing to report, thank you.
Thank you, okay. Any other staff here that would like to report?
Forgot Reed was over there.
Yes. The silent one. The silent assassin. Council reports. I guess I'll start it off and just say that I'm a little disappointed that we did not take any action on this museum thing, so we had given a commitment back in December. So I guess we now address the museum and tell them we're not gonna honor that commitment. Is that it? Without a budget amendment for it? Okay. Extremely disappointed, but it's okay. Mr. Showalter,
Nothing to report.
Mr. Bishop,
Nothing to report.
Ms. Hicks.
Happy Valentine's, everybody.
Very good. Ms. Hoppy,
Nothing to report.
Mr. Wilson.
I was, attended the New River Valley Planning Commission in January meeting. It was a lot of new people, so the majority of the meeting was introductions. And then the hot topic, is the train station. So, and obviously it's still in a planning phase, but it is the hot topic of the Planning Commission, and their $64 million for, 68 million broadband project is the two things that are the hot topics with the Planning Commission at the moment. So, don't know if we have any updates from the train station stuff that can be made public or not, but it'd be appreciated. Appreciate it.
The state does have a working group of state representatives and several local managers. I'm actually in that group, and we've got a meeting coming up. It's the first, I guess, joint meeting since the close of the survey that they did. Closed basically February 1st.
So you're a part of the stakeholders
Yes, I am.
group? Okay.
Yes.
Just want to make sure we were properly represented.
I'm on it. I know Craig Meadows is on it also.
Kevin's not on it?
Kevin Bird's on
Oh,
it
yeah,
also.
Kevin's on it.
Yes.
It's good.
Speaking of passenger rail, I should have mentioned this earlier. Passenger rail lost a very, very integral and important member of this rail committee that we've had for the last 5 years. Wally Nelson from Blacksburg has passed away from COVID in Hilton Head, and Wally was a go-getter and instigator and probably chaired a lot of these things for us. So he'll be big shoes to fill. And but he was, I don't know whether you knew Wally or not, but he was a pretty dynamic individual. Anything else to come before the town? We are adjourned.